to talk to you about licks and tricks. This is something that comes every now and then in the JazzMind Accelerator lab. And I think since jazz exists, there is this idea of creating solos with licks and tricks. Right? And there are many licks. The most famous one, it's called the lick is, and you can find this in many, many solos. You can find YouTube videos about it where there is a collection. So it's part of the vocabulary, but the question is, how do we get there? And is it actually something that is useful for us? And my take on that is, actually, it's not really useful to study licks and tricks and patterns. And I'm going to tell you why. So imagine you want to tell your own story, right? You want to write your autobiography. And to write your autobiography, to tell your story, what you're going to do is you copy someone else's sentences. You take books from the shelf, like the one back there, right? You take books and you start copying phrases and you try to write your own story with that. So this is how it feels to me to work with licks and tricks. And me personally, I never studied licks. I never studied all these patterns. So maybe some patterns, maybe some ideas, but what is much more important is actually to take one of these ideas and make it your own. So if you have this stack of books with licks and tricks in there, what you can do is take one of these ideas and then fool around with it until you understand the meaning. You understand what exactly does it mean, what is the meaning of this phrase. And then you take it and you stretch it and you squeeze it and you move it around and you flip it and you change the rhythm and you change the notes until you really understand what it is. For example, another famous one is that's from Mika's Dream, and you can hear this in many solos. But the nice one here is we have the dominant and this is this augmented triad, and then it resolves to the ninth of the target minor chord. It's a nice thing to do. So what you can do, you can take this, you can play around with it, try to understand what the real meaning is. That's the augmented triad. That's the root. That's the sharp five. That's the third, and then it resolves to the ninth. And then that's the meaning of that. And then you take it, you squeeze it, you move it around, you do whatever you can with that, but you make it your own. Is it a fantastic idea? Absolutely. Is it worth to practice it in all 12 keys? Absolutely. Is it going to be your own vocabulary? No. Can you make it your own vocabulary? Yes, but you have to go through that process. And that's way more important than relying on learning licks and tricks and ideas and just try to rely on that for your soloing. Do you need a library of licks and tricks? No. And how do I know it? I don't have it. And also my coach in the JazzMind Accelerator lab, Sylvain Joret, fantastic guitar player. He was one of my students. Now he's playing, he is playing a career in New York. He also agrees that he never did it. He never studied it. So when he didn't have to do it, when I didn't have to do it, why should you have to do it? So is it a shortcut? No, it's just living into the nothing and the meaningless noodling around instead of really creating something. If you want to know how this really works, right, what we do, how our approach is to play meaningful melodies instead of relying on other people's vocabulary. If you want to learn how to create meaningful melodies and what is the shortest way to do there, let me know. I'm happy to show you around. I'm happy to show you what we do, how we do it, how we can apply it to your situation. So leave a comment below. And then, so this is my little message from today. Have a nice one.